welcome to this month's energy theme. I wanted to start by giving a little bit more context and speaking to something that has happened in my business. People have been talking about new earth frequency, new earth consciousness, new wave consciousness for decades and decades. What bothers me about that terminology, especially new earth, is that it dangles this carrot, I think, in front of people's experience who just want to leave behind their suffering, the density, the just all of the struggles that not only they go through, but that humanity goes through as a whole, and step into this heaven, this paradise, this new state, a new earth. We're building a new earth. And while I agree that there is new frequencies available to us, and while I agree that things are accelerating, what I don't like about that terminology is the glamour, like the illusion, the places where people can get hooked into that and get this promise of something that is there for them that they don't actually create inside of themselves. I pay attention to this when I see people using these terms, and I pay attention to see the context in which they're using it. And I wanted to bring that up because when I'm talking about a new frequency energy shift, what I'm experiencing is that this is totally true, palpable, touchable, real, and I want to say the word shocking, but like pronounced, like it's different. I can feel that. I can feel all the potential and the opportunity in that. So you might find yourself experiencing an acceleration in your personal, financial, and spiritual growth right now. Collectively, we are upgrading on Earth through planetary, cosmic, and personal frequencies at a higher level of frequency and evolution. If you are somebody who has already stepped onto the spiritual path and possesses discernment, you will notice a split happening in the energetic templates at the moment, a frequency fork in the road. Those who focus on transformation through low-frequency alchemy will experience a state of de-evolution, leading to more struggle and less potency on their spiritual journey. If you have focused on spiritual growth through pure soul-centered frequencies, you will find your life opening up in ways that you never imagined, a profoundly abundant state of personal wealth. As we move forward into the new year, the speed at which you will notice the difference between those two states mentioned above is going to increase. Soul capacity is king in this timeline. This means evolution free of dogma, free of drama, free of spiritual fantasy, a move towards personalized individual magic, clean, regenerative states of alchemy, and a releasing of what is old to make space for the new. In the future, it will serve humanity well to have access to mentors who are set on the unique path of assisting individuals to expand from within their soul's blueprint. All human-based growth strategies focused on shadow, low vibrational emotion, justice, rightness, polarity coaching, identity strategies, one-dimensional truth, all that is not aligned with divine truth will begin to reveal itself and expose the cracks underneath the glamour. Glamour is like a veil, a spiritual facade, an illusionary spell that creates a beautiful image. But when you look at what lives underneath, you find a wretched paradigm crafted from distorted ego, fed by need, never fulfilling its promise. You will also experience a calling for more authenticity, more ways of doing it your way, and a true and real pull towards activating yourself as a creator of your universe. Within that context, the responsibility taken by the blessed and aware individuals will open up the collective awareness to experience more of the unity consciousness that many spiritual leaders speak of. Terms like new earth, ascension, new frequency, multidimensional are all speaking to one empowering state of conscious creation. The promise of entering heaven's gates is a tale that has captivated humanity for millennia. What lives underneath this promise is the rich, deep, and limitless divine beauty that already exists inside of you. Learning how to master life and identity through the embodied act of creating from your soul potential makes healing and evolving through spiritual trials and tribulations irrelevant in this timeline. Learning how to master your life and identity through the embodied act of creating from your soul potential makes healing and evolving through spiritual trials and tribulations irrelevant in this timeline. The highs and lows of old paradigm soul searching and attempt to raise our human vibration is simply a symptom of the evolution of our human DNA and our soul DNA. We have the opportunity to graduate into divine integration, the merging of the paradox to create from our own unique blueprint. On a practical level, if you want to take advantage of this frequency, trade mindset for operating system upgrades. Access complete and comprehensive spiritual technologies to activate your individual higher intelligence. Study soul magic rather than following a stringent practice of ritual and gatekeeping. Look at every area of your life that your energetic practice no longer has the same potency and evaluate your tools. Take action. Upgrade the fields that you learn inside of. So, it's really cool to have the opportunity to break this down into the theme for the month. I think what's interesting is the insight that it can bring in connection to how you are experiencing your own work with your own star map. What I'm trying to say here is that, and I'm seeing this, I'm literally watching this in spiritual communities and with leaders. There is this fork in the road where, and listen, it's not a judgment. There's nothing right or wrong. Everybody's path is their path. It's fine. It's perfect. Some stuff is not for me. But there is this whole sect of transformational spiritual teachings out there that are based on alchemy from suffering. Alchemy, fixing what is broken, healing what is wounded, right? The inner child, the shadow work, the archetypes, the very limited and militant astrology people, polarity coaching, right? And all of these things that have been created, all of these methodologies that have been created, when you look at how they function, when you look at how they operate, what they're attempting to do is really build up the identity, which is what the ego is desperate for. Because that's its job, right? We've talked about this so many times. They're trying to build up the identity and transform within these different varying dimensions and fractaled out degrees of illusion, having been created from the same matter, from the same conscious structure that occupies the field that they're trying to leave behind, that they're trying to transform from. And so what I see is that we're in this timeline where you are going to begin to notice a really big difference, a really big separation in the embodied example of the lifestyle that the people are living, things that they no longer can keep behind the scenes, no longer keep secret. It's all starting to come out. We're in this time right now where all is being revealed. The seeds that birthed the fruit are starting to rise up from under the ground and show themselves. And it's how will you know? Well, you know by the fruit that it bears, right? And there's a lot of toxic fruit falling off the limbs and rotting on the ground right now. And again, like I said, to each their own, but there is access to a real thread of like clean, pure, transformational energy. And it's connected to your soul capacity. It's connected to your soul magic. It's connected to your limitlessness. It's connected to all of that and the divine structures, the very basic, simple, potent structures underneath that address how we operate, how the human programming operates, how we manifest, how we create, and how we build up that identity, essentially, because these are the main things that we're consistently dealing with in our lives as people who have intentions and goals and are trying to quote unquote ascend and evolve. And so on the topic of that veil, that glamour, that come on in, it's paradise in here. It's like the stuff that's in there that's not paradise is showing itself. The reason that I bring this up is that this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm viewing. And in my own experience, what is lingering, what's left behind, what needs to be dealt with, the sneaky shape-shifting patterns, the subconscious patterns that lurk in the background and always show up in some different kind of form, right? Some different manifestation in your life, but the same, the things that we need to take care of are coming out. And what I'm positioning, what I'm saying here is upgrade your tools, change your tools so that you can step out of that pattern and connect to something that is created from pure soul-centered frequency so you can catch a ride. You know, you can move at the pace that you're meant to move at, that feels natural to you, that is connected to your soul's frequency so that you can actualize more of that in this lifetime. And what I think is really important is that people have access to mentors who understand how, mentors and guides, more voices, more people sharing their stories and experiences, more assistance for everybody else that is attempting to move forward on this path, evolving as spiritual, soul-led human beings, more people who can facilitate growth in this way versus the ways that we're all familiar with and used to. It will serve everyone well to have access to that. I'm so glad that in my journey, I stepped off, I took that right turn instead of the left turn. I took the road less traveled towards the end of my journey and the beginning of my desire to step out into leadership because what I consistently felt was like something is off, right? It all feels like more of the same. And there are so many people out there that just do not perceive this, right? That just don't really catch on to that, I think, because like I said, it feels familiar. It feels comfortable in the sense that this is the way that they're used to transforming or alchemizing or evolving, etc. Because it is the what I would call old paradigm strategy. A calling for more authenticity, more ways of doing it your way, more responsibility as the creator of your universe, right? And the reason for this comes back to soul capacity is king, because that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's about you creating your reality, focusing on that first and foremost, so that the aspects of you that do not support your mastery of that fall away and you craft a new identity around the adept learning and growing of your own ability to create. The only way that we repattern is by opening up space to have new thoughts, new experiences, new emotions, and then moving forward through embodiment, through committed embodiment. If you are somebody who has done enough work on the programming, done enough work on connecting to your own soul's magic, paying attention to how you create and manifest, if you're focused, if you bring what is lurking in the subconscious into the light, if you bring it into focus, and if you're doing this consistently as a lifestyle, you are somebody who has chosen that fork in the road and are going to move forward into a timeline or a pace, right? Really an accelerated pace where your everything is just going to get higher and higher and higher, right? The access to your soul's frequency is going to increase and increase your vibration because what you're engaged in is vibrational alchemy in your human self through that practice. I think if we could just get to the point where we understand, and I shared this in a post the other day, like the three main areas that I have found that are really important to focus on is your human programming and correcting your ego. Like the Divinios practice daily. I can never say enough things about this work. I can never express it with enough strength, with enough enthusiasm, with enough like, this is everything. Because it's not just about clearing out your beliefs or changing your programming one time. It's about stepping into the responsibility of being the programmer, taking an active role as someone who's leading your operating system daily. And anytime, like I said, if you are like catching the whiff of that, if you're on that track, it's only going to accelerate you to focus in anytime something that needs to be cleared to address your operating system, to address clean thinking, to address the opportunity to make choices from that space, to introduce new awarenesses, new thoughts, so that the next time you step out, the next time you walk out of your house, the next time you share something with a client, the next time you talk to your partner, the next time you think about yourself, the next time you speak out loud negatively about yourself, etc., you have addressed that and you are in the position where you can reprogram and repattern with something new, something that is connected to your limitless potential. Limitless potential is all about freedom of choice, freedom of a bazillion choices, not set on one path with no options to change it. That's about choice. That is also in connection to the conversation that I shared around karma and how we're in this timeline where there's no more debt to pay. And that if we realize that there's no more debt to pay, right? Like, what else is left? Investment, right? We're rich. Everything we invest in returns to us 10 times. Everything we invest in is leading us closer. We are not a victim of our time, our resources, our blocks, our patterning, what happened to us when we were kids, all of that stuff. And it's not to say that these things are difficult and you can't have your experience, but memory creates a vibration in you. And so does the way you think about your options moving forward. So this one is really important. The second thing that I feel like if people focused on would highly accelerate their journey is love and money. And then the third is, of course, how you create manifestation. These are very exciting times. That's how it feels in me. I shared a little bit about this in the conversation of karma and clearing out bloodlines and etc. Having done the work and being able to say, I did the work. Wonderful. Time to move on. That's how the energy feels in general to me. And I think the more we can remember that moment to moment, bit by bit, in the tiny moments when we're struggling, the faster that fork in the road shows up for us and we choose to take it. And then we take it that the next time and the next time and the next time. And pretty soon that becomes a pattern in our lives. And that is just the way that we operate. Think about it this way. We have so much inspiration, so many ideas, so much information, so much data, such a dynamic field of experience. If we don't learn how to stay focused, everything is like a blurry, partial version of what it could be. Everything we create is like this blurry, partial version of what it could be. And that's like being in a fog. that's what happens when we can't see the bigger picture. So oftentimes what we need mentors for, what we need community and tools for, is to help us with the clarity of that, because our natural power as creators is defined, it's refined, it is perfectly designed. It's the use of it that we get to develop and master over time. So sticking to something and really sticking to that is how we train our mind to create. Over time, when we do that as a life practice, it becomes not only the way that you think, but the way that you feel. It creates an environment of high value emotion where what you dream is coming true. So how could you not be in gratitude? How could it not be the best day ever? When you have things come up that do not feel like the best day ever, my intention actually is to move through it and move on to the next. So not only is there a focus in that choice in me, but there's a focus and an intention and a purpose to it. It has big meaning in my field. It's really incredible. What does this feel like? To me, it feels like better than I could imagine. I'm watching people, again, as always, as probably forever will be. Oh man, the energy's tough out there. Whoa, what a ride. I've been just going through it. It's great. I'm transforming. I'm rising from the ashes. I'm in the void. I'm in the alchemy. I'm doing my shadow work. But whew, man, it's tough. It is really tough. I find myself thinking when I view this, I think, I'm not there. That is not me. How interesting. What I sensed is that there's a higher level of alchemy, a higher realm inside of each and every one of us that graduates beyond that and moves with resolve, certainty, trust, a powerful sense of inner trust, feeling supported. And that ultimately, the time that we've put in amounts to and creates a compound effect of creation in our lives that takes us to a place where we get to ride the slipstream, where we are in the zone, right? Where we're in the new earth frequency. Come on in. Because we're operating from our soul's frequency. And we're focused forward, we're innovating, and we're creating what's new. I hope you love this energy as much as I do. I am really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to everything that is to come. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.